Hi, I'm Linda Quinlan.
I'm Ann Charles.
I'm Keith Ghostland, and this is All Things LGBTQ. We are taping on Tuesday, November 2nd, and as you might have noticed, somebody has turned 5, and it has not gone unnoticed as Boston Spirit, in their article about LGBTQ TV, may have included some of your favorite local celebrities.
It was a great article. I was pleased to see it.
And there's only one caveat, which is that Linda and I are listed as the co-founders of Rainbow Umbrella of Central Vermont, and we weren't the only co-founders. There are 2 other founders who deserve mention. We'll shout out to them now, Paulette Patel and Rachel Desolitz. We were all in it together in the founding of Rainbow Umbrella, and I celebrate that.
It's that usual group of activists and troublemakers. And we want to acknowledge that All Things LGBTQ is taped at Orca Media in Montpelier, Vermont, which is unceded Indigenous land. And with that, Linda, you got
headlines.
3 pages of things there.
I know.
You're going to rival Professor Charles.
I know. No, 3 and 20. I don't know. But anyway, so some of the headlines are: better protections for LGBTQ detainees sought after a trans teen said she was discriminated in a jail in Baltimore. She feared for her safety. 18-year-old Izzy Davis, a foster youth who was acquitted after spending 40 days in the booking and intake center. She said she was harassed and belittled, and when she got her hormones, the staff called her Sir Davis. In Cheyenne, Wyoming, prosecutors said he won't charge librarians for saved LGBTQ-themed books.
Librarians.
Right.
I thought you said Liberians.
No, librarians.
I thought, is Linda doing international? Okay, librarians.
She knows no bounds.
No. Trans Netflix employees filed grievance accusing the company of retaliating against them, and we'll have more about that. Actor Carl Penn has come out and is engaged to his partner of 10 years. His new memoir is called You Can't Be Serious, and in addition, he says that he wants a huge, big-ass Indian wedding. A Florida school is slammed for taking elementary children on a field trip to a gay bar and grill.
Oh,
Only if they serve the margaritas.
what were they thinking?
More about that. An unhinged parent accuses bullied gay student of indoctrination during a school committee meeting. A trans woman dies to protect others in an Idaho mall shooting. Joe Acker rushed a man who was shooting. She was helping people to safety when she was shot. Joe Acker was 26 years old, and here is a picture of her. Anti-mask GOP activists call a gay lawmaker a cocksucker at a public meeting before dying of COVID. Paul Kendall was treated as a leader among anti-maskers who cheered when he called a gay politician a cocksucker. He was a failed politician in Alaska. Trans woman Jessie Hart has been found dead in Oregon. She was 43. Her body was found in the woods 25 miles west of Portland. Too much of reporting that news, isn't there?
Yes.
A student at Missouri High School is the first male to be crowned homecoming queen. Zachary Wilmore, a senior and varsity cheerleader, took home the honors. And then there's a whole list of the worst colleges for LGBTQ youth. There are 180 schools listed, too many to list here. But if you want more information about these schools and where they are and who they are. You can find this by Googling Campus Pride. And they list all 80 schools with
180.
180.
Of interest, really quickly, going through the list, there are only 3 from New England. And they're all in Massachusetts. And they're all religious affiliated.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a heavy dose of religion.
Most
on
of
that
them,
list.
but
they are
Boston
all,
Baptist.
they
Yeah.
are all over the country, though.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
that was another striking feature of that
so,
list.
look it up on Campus Pride. And if you are thinking of a college like this, you might want to think twice. Gay teacher is fired after the school he was teaching in was notified that he had married his partner. More on that. Chicago Blackhawks coach is accused of sexually assaulting a male player. More about that. And Dave Chappelle mocks Hannah Gadsby in ongoing Netflix debacle. We'll have more about that. And this is an interesting story because John Waters unveils all-gender restrooms named after him at an art museum in Baltimore.
Yes.
They honored his request to have the restrooms named after him. They will be called either John's John or
Oh, no.
the Waters Closet.
Oh,
It's John Waters, please. Of course they are.
Oh, God. And here's another really interesting story, but it's about 2 female condors give birth to chicks without mating. Scientists claim that 2 California condors, an endangered species, snubbed their available mates and conceived 1 chick each asexually. Now, you can look this up. There's this long thing about,
Oh, there was a lot of coverage of it.
Yeah, but there was this whole scientific, like you do this and this does this and it transforms this. And I just couldn't go there because it was too much. But, if you're interested in the scientific process, you can Google condors give birth to chicks. Jeff Lewis is the first gay man in New York to work for the New York Governor Hochul's, and he is the chief of staff. So that was,
Very good.
yeah. I like her approaching New York, don't you? The governor.
Well, I heard some interesting tidbit that Tish James
Letitia James.
Letitia James is thinking of opposing her for governor. That would be a very interesting race.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And Roberta Kaplan has been in the news because of
Her involvement with the Como,
right.
her resignation from Rise Up.
Right. But now she's doing a case about the Charlotte riots in
Massacre.
Charlotte. Yeah. So I'll have much more on that when we get back. So that's it for me for stories right now.
The Roberta Kaplan, if I may comment, I think is an important story because as our colleague and friend Carla J pointed out in the last interview, just because you do one thing wrong doesn't mean all your service
Absolutely.
to the movement should be discounted.
So we'll do more on what she's doing.
Because I
Yeah.
hope she lands on her feet, and it sounds
Yeah.
like she is.
Yeah.
Well, I have
Tons of stories.
I do. I have
Poland?
Poland, yes. But before we start, let me give you a list of the countries that recognize a 3rd gender, because as Linda reported last time, the ex-passport designation has been inaugurated in the United States. So 15 countries recognize a 3rd gender. Austria, Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Colombia, Germany, India, Iceland, Netherlands, Nepal, New Zealand, Pakistan, Uruguay, and now the U.S. So a few more countries to go, but
And what was it, Graham? I didn't have that here, but I
Franklin
just...
Graham?
Franklin Graham says that, he's encouraging countries to not accept the X marker.
Well, consider the source. So let's go to Poland, shall we?
Okay.
They've got a Stop LGBT bill in the works to ban pride parades. So, you know, this is very inflammatory. It's going to really exacerbate the fight with the EU. So we'll report on future developments on that score. One other thing that's not really a surprise, LGBTQ conversion therapy is still a common practice in Russia.
I'm shocked.
Me too.
I'm counting Russia as Europe. And under the UK has accepted 29 Afghan refugees, and this is a little bit of a breakthrough, except now they're starting agitation toward a bill that would crack down on illegal immigrants. The bill would punish all refugees who enter the country illegally, despite the fact that that's the most common form of entry, and that penalizes.
They come by boat.
Sure, and that penalizes potential Afghan refugees. So there's concern about that. More bad news from Europe. The Italian Senate kills an LGBTQ piece of LGBTQ plus hate crime legislation. So it was a bill outlawing LGBTQ plus hate crimes. It passed the House, but the Senate, under influence of certain conservative elements, some of which may be religious, centered in Vatican City, they exerted their influence and the Senate killed it. And now I have a picture of Zach Kostopoulos, who is a Greek American, and he was killed in 2018. I remember reporting on it. He was somehow trapped in a jewelry store, and the proprietor of the jewelry store and someone else beat him up. 6 men are on trial for this, 2 of them police officers. He is known as Zach or Zachy. He was 33 years old. This was in September 2018. He was a drag queen and an LGBTQ and HIV rights activist. His family says this was a hate crime. He was targeted because of his sexual orientation. They're convicted of they're on trial for fatal bodily harm, and they say they're innocent. Police officers arrived at the scene after he tried to call them. The owner of the store beat him, the police beat him. He was tossed out on the street, and on the way to the hospital he died. So there's all kinds of stories about that, but in my view it's a hate crime. The 6 men who are being prosecuted are proclaiming their innocence. They said he was robbing the store, but that makes no sense. One more.
So you beat him to death, even if he was?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
6-1.
Yeah.
One more violent story from Europe, and I have a picture before you now of a ransacked LGBTQ plus community center in Sofia, Bulgaria. Once again, a group alleged to be from the extremist Bulgarian National Union. This is so incredible. A presidential candidate participated in this brutalizing event. His name is Boyan Rasate. He ransacked what's called the Rainbow Hub Community Center in Sofia on October 30th. So the activist Gloria Filipova of Rainbow Hub said that she protested when he and all these thugs broke in and he hit her in the face. The assault took place during a trans theme event at the center. There was a knock on the door. He identified himself. She said, "Don't come in," and he hit her. They started breaking everything, and I've shown you a picture of some of the damage. She called 911, but he stayed. The police cleared everybody out. He stayed, and she said, "You've done your work, you can go now." But he took out a knife and slashed the tires of a motor scooter that was parked in the office. And this is a presidential candidate. Can you believe it?
I wonder if this is a vote getter for him.
As I say, unfortunately, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It came with the presidential and early parliamentary elections 2 weeks away in Bulgaria. And it's far from the only homophobic incident. The attack came a few days after a petition with 8,000 signatures had been lodged at Bulgaria's Justice Ministry calling for inclusion of LGBT people in hate crimes legislation. So this is the response. But I can't believe it quite. But, you know.
He must think it's going to get him votes.
Apparently. My last European story is from Russia, and I'm going to save it to the end because it involves a clip of the film Potato Dreams of America. So let's move from Europe now and go to North America, where I have another clip from Mexico. This is a Day of the Dead, you know, commercial with a queer couple.
Oh, I saw that commercial. It was great.
I know it, and it took me a while to find a translation. It's titled Nunca es tarde para ser quien eres, or it's never late to be who you are. And I have a lot of outline of the events of this clip, but let me just show it to you instead of previewing it, and then I'll talk about some of the responses.
You going to show it now?
Let's take a look at the Day of the Dead queer Dorito commercial.
Hermano, cómo te extraño. ¡Oh! ¡Tío Alberto!
¡Qué sorpresa! ¿Qué hubo, familia? ¿Cómo están?
Alberto.
¿Quién es él? Es Mario, mi pareja.
¡Qué milagro! Creí que este iba a estar solo para siempre. Alberto. ¡Qué lindos!
I love that commercial.
Well,
Doritos.
Yes.
some have praised the commercial for connecting queer identities to cultural traditions. Others have commented that there's a mixed message here of only being one's true queer self in death, right? Uncle Alberto's partner, Mario, I mean, they're in the afterlife, right?
Yeah.
So he comes out to his family after he's dead? I don't know. It's a very interesting.
It is.
But the Day of the Dead is honoring your
ancestors.
ancestors. So okay.
But, you know, you could see he comes out to her. I mean, she didn't know. She was like, oh, good, I'm glad you have a companion
Well,
in
maybe
the afterlife.
You know,
No.
I liked it.
Part of a Proud All Year platform, which celebrates and promotes respect for diversity. So I guess the people on the set are in favor of this of this commercial. I've watched it so many times looking for an English translation that maybe I just have soured on it. But as he says, in Mexico, the Day of the Dead is a celebration of life. It's a moment to share a respect, love, and unity for all the people we cherish, even if they are gone. And it's an opportunity for Doritos Mexico to celebrate love and our commitment to the LGBTQ plus community every day. Doritos wants to say, it's never too late to share your true self. And when you are ready, we will support you. So you see the relative eating the Doritos.
You have about a minute, Ann.
Okay. I have some South American. Well, let me go quickly to the Australian pro footballer, Josh Cavallo. Here he is in a picture before you. In honor of National Coming Out Day, he has said that he's gay. And he says, I'm not going to do it before I retire this time. So let's look at a picture of Josh and celebrate his act of
And
openness.
he plays for the Adelaide team.
Correct.
Or the team in Adelaide.
Yeah.
How smart of you to know that. He's an A-League player. Yeah. There are other players living in silence. He's 21. I wanted to help change this to show that everyone is welcome in the game of football and deserves the right to be their authentic self. So, okay, I've got a lot of continents to go.
Well, you'll have more time.
Yes, I hope so.
Get your passport ready with that gender X.
That's right.
There we go. So, of course, we have to start with yesterday in the Senate, an historic vote, 51-45, Beth Robinson was confirmed as
Yes.
the first out lesbian federal circuit court judge.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All the Democrats voted in favor of Beth. Kirsten Gillibrand from New York was off the floor, so she did not vote. And they were joined by Lisa Murkowski and Sue Collins, who are the usual rabble-rousers who will come over, particularly on the
Occasionally,
LGBTQ
yes.
and women's rights issues. Susan Collins has a lot of penance to do for
Yes, I was just
Kavanaugh.
thinking that.
Yeah, there we are. So November, it's Native American Indian Alaska Native Heritage Month, and we've got to come up with a better nomer for that. But in recognition of that, this was the first LGBTQ indigenous person elected to the U.S. Congress. Took a while, but they got it. Okay, looking at events, pop-up happy hour at the Speakeasy at the Lincoln in Burlington happens on the first and third Thursday
I
of each
keep
month.
meaning to try to get there, but I never do.
Knock on the door, they'll let you in. On November 20th, Out in the 802 is sponsoring their potluck. Go on to their Facebook page if you're interested in looking for details. Queer Connect, Lesbian Story Hour is now called Sapphic
Yes.
Story Hour. I didn't notice that change
I like
until
it.
this month, so did I. And also they're continuing to do their monthly healing circle. Keep in mind that Outright Vermont is still doing their First Friday groups. GLAD out of Boston is sponsoring a New England Activist Symposium coming up in the next couple of months. Now, they've done this for 3 years, and the last couple of years have been virtual, and it looks as though this year will be as well. But it is the first occasions where LGBTQ plus activists, and you have to be an LGBTQ plus identified activist to participate, comes together and talks about, this is what I'm doing in my state, this is the work we've accomplished, this is the work we're looking at doing moving forward, and it's a chance for region-wide to share resources. But what also has been critical is you can let a group in another state know, oh, we were working on this issue. This is what our opposition came forward with, and this is how we were able to counter it. So there's some real hands-on information that gets exchanged, which has been incredibly useful. Keeping in mind, Rainbow Umbrella and Momentum are doing a book group. If you are interested in participating, you could go on to either Facebook page and look at the details how to contact.
No, it's not on Facebook, unfortunately. If you're interested, contact Linda.
Oh, I thought it was part of Rainbow Umbrella.
It is, but I haven't listed it as a group yet.
Sorry to contradict you so boldly.
So you can email all things LGBTQ, and I will get back to you with the dates and the books of the readings.
Apparently, secrets are being kept for me, but who cares? So, and finally, Whitehorse, which is in the Yukon Territory, they just elected their first out mayor. It's Laura Cabot or Cabot.
Now?
There's two T's, yes. And she's saying that the fact that I'm gay is not something that I've sort of hidden away. Nowadays, it's really not a big deal, sort of, what your orientation is. I think people are more interested in your vision for the city, your work ethic, your integrity, and professionalism. I would kind of hope that maybe that's true, but we'll find out. Also, in that same election, Michelle Friesen was elected to the city council, and what is unique about Michelle Friesen is that, by the press reporting, she is the first Indigenous person to be elected as a councilor in over a generation.
Wow.
So talk about representation. So you're going to take me
Good
back
luck to her.
to both of them.
I'm going to take you back to the United States, where all things are mixed, to say the least.
Optimistic spin.
I know. In Cheyenne, Wyoming, a prosecutor said he won't charge librarians for saving LGBT-themed books. Many of these books are available to young people in a deeply conservative Wyoming. And in this coal mining town, apparently, he says he wouldn't have a case if he had prosecuted. 3 books in the teenage section and 1 in the children's section are among dozens contested at the library. A few of the books are This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson, How Do You Make a Baby by Anna Frisk, and Dating and Sex by Andrew Smiler. So, you want a cough drop?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Sorry.
Trans Netflix employees filed grievance accusing the company of retaliating against them. It isn't about James Chappelle. It's about trying to change Dave Chappelle. It's about trying to change the culture and having an impact on others. An attorney expressing the two said, these employees have filed a complaint with the National Labor Board over their treatment following the release of Chappelle's comedy special. They accuse Netflix of trying to stop employees from speaking up. So we'll see how that goes.
It's a moral dilemma
Yeah.
for those of us who enjoy Netflix.
I know. And this is sort of an interesting. A Florida school is slammed for taking elementary children on a field trip to a gay bar and grill. While the food items had kind of risque names and drag queens perform, it is mainly a restaurant and becomes a bar at night. Some local parents are upset. When Sarah Leonardi posted about being honored to be invited as a chaperone on a Wilton Manor field trip to Rosiac, and the students and I had a great time. Her post drew criticism from conservatives saying this is evil and wrong and bad for the poor children. And this that post was by Tom Page. He responded on a post. There were others. But I mean, Wilton Manors, these kids are from Wilton Manors. I mean, you know, really.
I was going to say, they get in the news a lot. Don't they have an all-queer
Yeah.
city council?
Yeah. And a mayor, I think, too.
Well, that's part of the city council.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, it is Wilton Manors after all, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I wouldn't think that there were any conservative people in Wilton Manors, but there must be. What do I know?
And also, I mean, this is kind of irreverent, but I've never gone to a bar for their lunch, a gay bar for their restaurant
I have.
cuisine. Are there good restaurants?
Yeah, some of them are,
Okay.
especially in Wilton Manors.
Okay.
We'll talk about it over dinner tonight.
Okay.
And it, so then we have, okay, we did that. So we're on a roll here. Okay. Then, well, did I do all that already? Well, pretty good.
More time for me.
I know. Then we're just going to do a little bit about Roberta Kaplan. If Nazis or KKK or white supremacists just want to stand peacefully on the street corner and hold up a sign saying they hate Jews or they hate black people, that is protected speech. I have no issue with that, but that's not what's happening here. If you know the name Roberta Kaplan, it's probably because of United States versus Windsor, the 2013 Supreme Court case that hastened marriage equality in this nation. But now Kaplan, along with co-counsels Karen Dunn, is waging a different battle. We are not suing them because they hate Jews or they hate blacks or they hate foreigners. That's not the case. Kaplan said in her latest episode of Cape Up. And I wanted to record this. It was really interesting, but it was very long. So if you're looking for her and talking about this case in a very long interview, look up Cape Up on on YouTube. It's not about defamation. It's about people being hurt. On October 11, 2017, Kaplan and Company filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of 11 plaintiffs, law students and staff, persons of faith, ministers, parents, doctors, and business persons who were injured by the violent events in Charlotte, Virginia on August 11th and 12th. Defendants are the individuals and organizations that conspired to plan, promote, and carry out those violent events. They are neo-Nazis, Klansmen, white supremacists, and white nationalists. Under the pretext of a rally, which they termed Unite the Right, defendants spent months carefully coordinating their efforts on the internet and in person. The violence, suffering, and emotional distress that occurred in Charlotte was a direct, intended, and foreseeable result of defendants' unlawful conspiracy. The aim of this lawsuit is to ensure that nothing like this will happen again at the hands of defendants, not on the streets of Charlotte, Virginia, and not anywhere else in the United States of America.
Is it Charlotte or Charlottesville?
Charlottesville.
Yeah, because I saw an interview with a University of Virginia student who said, you know, to have these horrible people come on my campus was such a violation.
Yeah.
It was, you know, and the analyst who framed that interview likened it to Kent State.
Yeah. So we'll keep you informed as this develops and goes to court.
Okay, I have a lot of headlines, and then I'd like to pause with Peru and introduce that clip. So let me move on to South America. Well, Facebook removes a Bolsonaro video linking COVID shots to AIDS. Enough said about that. Peru introduces a marriage equality bill. And this is old news. I mean, a lot of my news here, a lot of my headlines are countries inching toward marriage equality. And Peru is one of them.
Purdue makes the chickens.
I went to Purdue at one
yeah,
point.
that's another one.
I know. In November, the constitutional vote in Peru was 4-3, not in favor of same-sex marriage, even though they have been ordered by the Inter-American Court of Human Rights in 2017 to inaugurate it. The marriage equality bill was introduced in Congress in 2017, but did not see a vote. Now a new bill is coming in October 2021. Of the 20 nations bound by the 2017 Inter-American Court of Human Rights marriage equality ruling, 14 still haven't brought in marriage equality, including Barbados, Bolivia, Chile, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, some states of Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, and Suriname. Other places where talking up marriage would be joining an existing conversation includes Andorra, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Curacao, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hong Kong, India, Jamaica, Japan, Liechtenstein, Namibia. Well, you get the picture. All right. That's my in-depth look at Peru. Let's go to Asia. The Taliban says that gay rights will not be respected under Islamic law.
Who's surprised about that?
Yeah, a spokesperson said, yeah, we're going to honor women, but not gay people. We will observe Sharia law.
No, women either. I mean,
Well, I know. They're paying lip service to women, but not even to gay people. And a horrifying coda, Rainbow Railroad reports that, yes, the Taliban does have a kill list for LGBTQ Afghans. So, other headlines include from Asia.
did they say anything about how many people they're getting? Are they getting people out of there?
Well, as I reported last time, 600 people
We're on the list.
petitioned Rainbow Railroad. 500 people petitioned this expatriate.
But we don't know if
list.
any of them
No.
have gotten out. Okay.
I don't think they're going to disclose that because that then gives
Yeah.
the Taliban an indication of how many people to look for.
Yeah.
It may also disclose and give information about identity, location, whatever, which is not something you really want to.
And this
Put in
article
public
did say that one person was on the verge of getting out, and the Taliban broke into his home and took his phone and all his connections, and somehow they had been tipped off that this person was on the verge of being rescued.
Wow.
So it's very dicey and horrifying there. More from on the inching toward marriage front. Japan is having an election, and a lot of the people who are running pledge to boost legislation for same-sex marriage. We'll see. We'll see. Delhi High Court fixes final hearing pleas to recognize same-sex marriages under law. So India also inching toward it. A sort of interesting headline occurred involving medical colleges in India, which apparently contain all this homophobic stuff and
Really?
perpetuate all kinds of homophobic myths. A report has been issued, and rules have been passed. The
Saying cut it out?
the Madras High Court has said, look at these textbooks, and they're like 530 or something. Let's look at a picture now of Hong Kong's TV celebrity Vincy Wong, who's going to host an on-air gay dating show.
All right.
That's very exciting news. Everyone's very excited. He's been gay for a long time and open, and he said, I don't know how it'll go, but, I'm happy about it, and I'm hoping it moves things forward. one more story from Asia. Hackers threaten to out Israeli LGBTQ dating site users. So apparently, this major site involving museums and travel agencies and gay hookups was hacked, and so.
So is it a gay travel agency as well? Or?
Well, it's a gay. It's like Grindr,
Okay.
a gay dating app, which I imagine Grindr is.
Yeah.
So it's part of that.
I'd say
larger-
hookup versus dating, but maybe I'm jaded.
All right. So anyway, that's involved, but it's not exclusively that. I have one more series of stories.
Well, you have some time.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's very encouraging. Because I'd like to talk a little bit about.
You have a little time, so go ahead.
Oh, do I?
Just
Oh,
a
this
little.
is wonderful. Well, it's not wonderful what I'm going to report on, though. In Ghana, has been a rape. I'm sure there have been many. A 15-year-old girl has been raped by two men as punishment for suspected lesbianism in eastern Ghana. It was reported on Africa Feeds that the suspects, who shared housing with the victim and her friend, confronted the girls with an allegation of lesbianism and tried to offer them money for sex. When the girls refused, the men attempted to sexually assault them. One of the girls escaped, but the other was raped a number of times by the suspects. The 15-year-old victim reported the attack to the police, and one of the suspects has been taken into custody. The other suspect has yet to be apprehended. And this kind of climate is reflected in the fact that a number of legislators in the country are trying to pass an anti-homosexual law that states anyone who engages in sexual acts with members of the same sex will be liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 750 penalty units and not more than 5,000 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 3 years and not more than 5 years, or both.
You know, and in this country, that is in Uganda, right?
You know,
really,
it's in Ghana.
Yeah, those countries are really being pushed by Americans,
You betcha.
the evangelical Americans.
They're
You
over
know,
in
they're
Ghana,
pushing
sure.
this agenda.
This bill, if passed, will apply to anyone who holds out as a lesbian, a gay, a transgender person, a transsexual, a queer, a pansexual, an ally, a non-binary, or any other sexual or gender identity that is contrary to the binary categories of male and female. That's a quote from the law. It will also seek to punish people who promote and or allies to the LGBTQ plus community. So this kind of, I mean, the rape is horrible, and it's a product of this toxic atmosphere that's permeating the country.
Yeah.
The UK, a lot of Anglican ministers condemned this law that's pending in Ghana. I don't know that will make much of a difference.
So.
And then in Tunisia, I have a picture before you now of Badr Babu, he's the director of an association for a gay LGBTQ Association for Justice and Equality. He was attacked on the way home. 2 police officers apparently brutally attacked him. There have been mounting abuses targeting LGBTQ activists by the Tunisian security forces. He's the director of this human rights organization. 2 men ambushed him in downtown Tunis as he was on his way home. One was wearing an internal security forces vest, so it's shameless. And the other was wearing police boots. They filed scores of complaints against the police, he and his organization, on behalf of LGBTQ people who had been assaulted by security forces since the organization was founded in 2005. So there's a picture of him.
Okay, now we need
Brutalized.
to move on.
Okay, I have one more story then.
All right, but we really got to move on now.
Okay,
If
so
we can, we'll get back to you.
can I do my, introduce my clip?
Yes.
Okay, here's my clip. Potato Dreams of America. Struggling to survive in the USSR during the turbulent years of perestroika, Lena and her gay son Potato escape into a fantasy world of pirated TV movies. But soon the movies are not enough, and Elena decides to become a mail-order bride and discover America for herself. Soon after Lena marries a much older and very eccentric John, mother and son find that they're in for a lot of surprises. Closely based on the writer-director Wes Hurley's childhood, Potato Dreams of America is one of those stories that prove that real life is often much stranger than fiction. Let's take a look at this very funny clip.
So are you gonna tell us?
Nope.
Why?
Leave her alone.
Why don't you want to tell us about your fancy date?
She probably doesn't want to jinx it. I understand. Don't tell them. Do not tell them these are some jealous broads.
Finish telling the movie.
All right, where was I?
He brought her back to the store.
That's right. So, get this. He brings her back to that expensive store and tells her she can buy anything.
Anything?
Anything. And and he tells those stuck-up salesmen to spoil her. Treat her like a queen.
That store where she got kicked out for being a hooker?
Yeah.
If I was her, I'd say big mistake. Big mistake. I got money, bitches.
Okay, tell me one thing. Does he marry her at the end?
Let her finish telling the movie.
If it's not a happy ending, I don't want to hear the rest.
Of course he marries her. It's an American movie.
Aw. I wish I was a hooker in America.
Don't we all?
Okay.
All right.
We have to put that on our
It's
list.
around.
Yeah.
It's around. You can find it.
Keith.
I'm intrigued by the name potato. but
Oh,
here
I
we are.
know.
First, I want to start by acknowledging the unexpected and sudden passing of an activist in Connecticut, Sean M. Lang. And she was the deputy director, most recently, of the AIDS Connecticut Project. And she worked on behalf of addiction and domestic violence issues. What was amazing about Sean is, she was a powerhouse. In the same year that she successfully lobbied against a move by the state of Connecticut to collect the names of people living with HIV and AIDS, she was also successful in getting over $1 million dedicated by the General Assembly for AIDS-specific housing. Quite a task. So, Got 'em, Screen 'em campaign, sort of a catchy title. This was actually a campaign that was developed with the Pride Center and the Department of Health You First program, which used to be the Ladies First program. And it was created by Taylor Small and Justin Marsh. And what it looked at was creating an approach to cancer screening that removed gender. So it's, what do you got for parts? What do you need to do to remain healthy with those parts? And the Centers for Disease Control has taken this and has folded it into their most recent outreach and educational videos. So this simple little Vermont campaign has made it up to the national level.
All right.
Also looking at some of the mischief that Justin is creating at the Pride Center, they're teaming up with UVM, and it's a project called Photovoice to support non-binary people. And you can go onto the Pride Center, either website or Facebook page, and look at it. And this is a project that's going to be started later on this year, and it's a narrative and a video specifically by and for non-binary people to create support, sort of your self-esteem issues. Sessions are virtual. They're going to be about 90 minutes apiece, and they're going to be 10 sessions. So, sounds
And how
good.
do people, they get online?
You go on to the Pride Center website and or their Facebook page, and it will give you all the link and all the information you need.
Okay.
And I didn't do a whole lot of exploring because I think we're all a little over 18.
Just a little.
Okay, we're a lot over 30. Maine. There are 2 lawsuits that are currently ongoing in Maine that we're going to be following. The first has been filed by GLAAD out of Boston. We like them. And it's against the Sunshine Assisted Living Facility. How could you sue Sunshine?
Wasn't that the same name of the one in Florida who kicked those lesbians out? What's called Sunshine?
Well, this is the one who a transgender woman had completed inpatient care and met the PASAR or requirements for assisted living. And when she was initially referred, Sunshine said, well, of course we have beds. And then when gender identity, her transgender status was revealed, they're like, oh, we can't take her. We only have semi-private rooms, and she wants to be with another woman. So the Maine Human Rights Commission currently has this and is looking at the merits or the lack thereof of the case. The other involves the University of Maine at Presque. Now, Presque is the northernmost section of Maine. You're almost Canadian. And it involves an AmeriCorps volunteer who was a mentor for students who were identified as either a first generation or coming from a disadvantaged background. And people from within the university had approached this volunteer saying, oh my goodness, you're wonderful, you should apply to be the permanent director of this program. The volunteer then disclosed their transgender identity, and not only were they not considered for a permanent position, the program was closed.
Oh, jeez.
And you can't tell me.
Unbelievable.
Also looking at Maine, there are several cases that are going to be going up before the U.S. Supreme Court, and one is actually coming out of Maine, and it's Carson versus Macon. And it's going to sound familiar because it's, can you use state or taxpayer dollars for a religious school? But what's different about this case, and the Supreme Court had already ruled that, yeah, you could use state funds to go to parochial schools, you couldn't discriminate. Right. This suit is specifically for religious education. It's not just that the school is run by a community of faith, but the education is faith-based. Yeah. The other case is coming out of Boston. I think Linda might be behind it, but I'm not sure. It's a suit against the city of Boston because they refused an organization's request to fly a Christian flag over City Hall while they were hosting an event within City Hall. And Liberty Counsel, remember them people, are the people who are representing the religious organization in this instance, challenging that the city council has the right to refuse based upon, it is we only fly non-secular, or we do not fly non-secular, and they're countering with, well, you've flown the rainbow flag and Black Lives Matters, you should fly ours, and challenging the city council's authority to make a decision about which flags they do or do not fly. And those are both cases.
There's always a separation of church and state argument.
Well, they're challenging that, saying that because there is religious reference on the state flag that flies, that they have an exemption and they should be allowed to.
Oh, Lord.
And we're going to be watching these because of the conservative
because they'll
bent of
probably
the
go up
current
the
court
chain.
and what is religious freedom and where is the line.
And they'll probably go up the chain of, court cases.
It's all very insidious.
Yeah.
So,
We want to invite our
well, no. Trivia.
oh, trivia. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because it took you a while, but you finally got it.
Yes.
The first out Indigenous person elected to the U.S. Congress, and it wasn't that long ago. It was Sharice Lynette Davids from Kansas, who, if you look at what's happening now with all of the redistricting, they may reconfigure so she's out of the district.
Yeah.
So, and now we need to invite Zach.
Who is our producer, director, friend, and
Makes us look better than we are.
yes, and this is our 5th anniversary. We're going into our 5th year. Is that right?
We're finishing our 5th year.
We're finishing our 5th year.
Yeah, happy anniversary to
Lord
us.
have
We
mercy.
couldn't have done it without Zach, that's
All
for
right,
sure.
we couldn't do it without Zach. Come on out to
Resist.
resist.